video, you will see how easy it is to use JavaScript to add a random quote to a web page. Here I have a web page that I want to add a random quote area to. So I'm going to switch to my HTML, and the first thing I'm going to do in here is add an A-side with an ID of quotes. This will be my quotes area of the web page. Then I'm going to go up and add some JavaScript to add the quotes themselves. You always add your scripts in the head of your document or at the very foot. The way that I'm building this web page, I need to build it in the head so that it loads before the page loads. So I'm going to say script, and then I'm going to add a comment to hide this from old browsers. Always make sure to include the 2 slashes as well, because that tells it that this is a comment in the script itself in JavaScript. And we'll close this comment at the very bottom just so we don't have to do it later. And I'm going to add my function, getQuote. The first thing this function is going to do is build 2 arrays, and the 2 arrays are my quotes array and the sources array. You can put in a number at the end in the arrays to tell how long the array is. In this case, it's 5. But if you add a 6th one and you don't change this to 5, the 6th array item will still display. Then I want to add my quotes into each of these arrays. I have 5 quotes, as I said, 1, 0. The first one in JavaScript is always 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all my quotes. Then in order to get a random one of those quotes, we need to create a variable I and say that we want to use the math random function against the quote's length to give us a random number. And then the last thing we want this function to do is to write the actual quote on the web page in a paragraph. So I'm going to use document write and write my quote. First I'll have the paragraph and the initial quotation mark, the quote number I, the end quotation mark and a BR, and then in italics I want to have the source, and it's the source I, so it's the same number, and then we close the paragraph. Now if you save the document now, it won't do anything because, as you remember, there's nothing inside the aside that to tell it to print the quotes. So let's go add that now. This is a fairly easy thing to do. You add your script tag, then you hide the function from older browsers, and then you add your function. Then once you've saved the document and reloaded, you'll see that you have your quote area. And I've added a few styles to make it look nicer on the page. But what's special about this is when you reload, it changes the quote. And if you reload, it'll change the quote. It doesn't always change the quote, as you notice, because it's a random number. And so you might get the same number twice in a row. But you will get different quotes as you reload the web page. And that's how you add a random quote to your web page using JavaScript.